Hello, and welcome to another FAQ Monday. I'm your host, Fluff, and you know what? Feeling good about today. This Monday, is special. Because, you know what? No, it's not special. Never mind. Next Monday is a special day. Maybe. What's about that? Would you rather only play vintage guitars with modern amps or only play modern guitars with vintage amps? Alan, great question. I suppose I would rather play, I'm gonna use a little bit of a loophole, I'm gonna play vintage guitars with modern amps, and I would play a vintage 59 Gibson Les Paul, see what I did there? Into a modern amp, like this JP2C or the Soldano SLO 100. Either way, I think I could get to where I needed to go. However, playing like an old mojo-filled guitar into a modern amp seems pretty cool. Not a lot of people get to do that. Also, old amplifiers are pretty temperamental and don't often work at all. They're noisy, all sorts of tech problems. So I'm gonna have to say old guitar, newer amp, if I had to. Is there any guitar or amp that you would spend any amount of money to own? Alex, great question. Oof. Any amount of money to own, either a guitar or amplifier. Guitar is a really personal thing. So barring any Jerry Cantrell's Blue Dress, G&L Rampage, that's his thing. And I simply just admire it. I would probably have to choose an amplifier. I would pay, I would love to get. As you guys know, I'm a Mesa Boogie rectifier fan. I would love to get the original Rev C rectifier that was used on Dirt, House and Chains record. If I had a certificate of authenticity and Jerry's like, yep, here's the amp, ooh, I would pay quite a bit of money for that amplifier. Yeah. Or James Hetfield's Mark II C+ Crunchberries amp. Nah. J. Cantrell's Recto on Dirt. That's the one. I would pay a lot of money for that. A lot of money for it. How do you go about committing to a rhythm tone? Having option paralysis with the tone hub. Yeah, Stubbs. I think that's the common problem with a lot of the amp sims today. They used to be fairly, there was always a lot of options, but it was fairly simple. Like you had your V30 cab, your greenback cab, just a couple of things to choose from with each individual thing. But now, the sky's the limit for amplifiers, virtual effects, virtual cabinets, microphones, placement. Now you can mix and match microphones on multiple cabinets, etc., etc. With Tone Hub specifically, I would find a bass guitar tone that I was happy with by itself, just playing and strumming. If it feels good, it sounds good, I would then typically just go with that and then build a song around that, sonically speaking. So I would EQ the bass to fit with that guitar tone if I'm going to focus on the guitar tone. Sometimes it's the other way around. Sometimes you carve out a lot of the frequencies on the guitar in order to get the bass to tuck in underneath, for example. But honestly, just take breaks in between amplifiers because it's easy for one amplifier to sound bad, right? A mid-range heavy one is going to sound really honky compared to the scooped amplifier you came from. So give yourself a chance for your ears to adjust. But honestly, just go with what you think is what sounds cool on its own, and then build around that. That's what I would do. Do you think YouTube is still a good place for new artists to get discovered, or has TikTok taken over as the new medium? Kevin, our all-star question asker. Thank you so much for your question, Kevin. It depends on what you're doing. If you're a rock guitar player, I don't think TikTok's your scene. I think Instagram is probably your scene. YouTube is still a huge place for discovery. However, I think TikTok and Instagram both lead people to the larger formats, right? Because on TikTok, you're not watching 10-minute videos, and you can watch 10-minute stuff on Instagram Reels, but those things are really driving you to other places, you know, in a sense, if you want to find more about that artist that you discovered on one of those platforms. So YouTube is still relevant. You know, if you choose YouTube, then you choose YouTube. But, you know, either way, if it's good, it's going to get discovered no matter what platform you're on. Any piece of gear you had ill opinions on, but surprised you when you used it? Thank you, Isaiah, for your question. Not ill opinions, but I would say the Wild Audio Nomad. I thought it was going to, not that I had ill opinions, but as I stated on here on an FAQ Monday, the Wild Audio stuff wasn't really aesthetically for me, but if I had to try one, I'd get the Nomad, and then they reached out and said, hey, we'll send you a Nomad to check out. So I would say the Wild Audio Nomad, because when I plugged it in and started playing it, I was shocked. I was shocked. It was, I don't know, the neck was huge, and it had these like buttery lead tones and these huge rhythm tones, and it just had, it was really resonant, and I was not expecting that from a guitar that looks like it was cut from a solid chunk of wood by Zakk Wylde. That's the first thing that comes to mind. Another one that I had, I don't know, ill intentions or ill thoughts of is a little strong, but some of, let's see, what's the recent, one of the cork guitars that I did for a Guitar World video. The cork guitar surprised me. It was like, whoa, this is really, really good. So yeah, the cork guitar and the Wild Audio Nomad. Those are the two guitars I was like, okay, I see you. Thoughts on the new M1 Max for music production, running plugins, etc.? The M1 stuff is really, really awesome, especially for audio production. So with video production, you can get away with an M1 doing 4K stuff for sure. People are doing it on YouTube. But for music production, oh yeah. A Mac Mini, an M1 Mac Mini is killer bang for the buck right now. I think an M1 Mac Mini with 16 gigs of RAM is like 800 bucks. Maybe it's 900 bucks, something like that. And the one with 8 gig is like 700 bucks. Crazy deal. Not a lot of IO, but if you're looking for something simple, cost-effective, and reliable, I mean, the M1 stuff is so good. I can't wait for the M2 stuff and the MacBook Pro stuff, all that stuff. But yeah, to answer your question, M1 stuff for music production, awesome. And that does it for this episode of FAQ Monday. If you have a question, feel free to leave them on down below in the comments or hit me up somewhere. Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, doing this motion. All good. I'll see the question. And with that, fluff out. If you liked the video you just watched, please consider subscribing. And if you want to further support me and what I do, consider using some of the affiliate links down below in the description of this video. Go on over to Sweetwater, buy yourself something, and help me out at the same time. It's a win-win for both of us.